AITA for having the lover's wife publicly expose my cheating wife's secret? The white envelope trembled in her hands before I understood why. That was the first thing I noticed when Megan walked through the door of the house that Sunday night at 11:15, still wearing her wedding guest dress and with her makeup running under her eyes. It was not exhaustion. It was something else, something it would take me exactly 40 seconds to start noticing. "Justin, we need to talk," she said just like that, without a hello, without an "I'm home," without the clumsy kiss she always gave when she came back from a trip. Just that phrase, and the envelope squeezed between her fingers as if it were burning. I was on the couch watching an LAFC game that honestly, I did not even care about. I turned down the volume, looked at her, and knew, with that ugly certainty one feels in the pit of the stomach, that whatever was coming would have no point of return. "What do you have there?" I asked. She did not answer. Right away, she let her bag drop onto the dining table. She took off her heels one by one, slowly as if buying time, and then spoke without looking at me. "I got some tests done this morning before catching the flight back at a clinic over there in Scottsdale. The doctor said it is surely a lab error, that it happens all the time, but that I had to show it to you." The word surely stuck in me like a splinter. Error of what, Megan? Then she did something I will never forget. She handed the envelope to me, but she did not let go. She waited for me to take it as if she needed me to be the one to break the seal, the one to carry whatever was inside, as if the simple act of opening it made me an accomplice to something. "You open it," I told her. Her fingers trembled as she tore the paper. She took out the sheet, unfolded it, and her eyes scanned the lines 1, 2, 3 times. When she looked up, she was already crying, but it was a weird, calculated cry. The kind that comes out when one has already rehearsed the scene in the airplane mirror. "It came back positive for a sexually transmitted infection," she whispered. "And Justin, I would never do something like this, unless you have." She left the phrase hanging in the air like a tightrope, waiting for me to throw myself on it. I stayed quiet for a moment. The game announcer shouted a goal I did not see. Outside, a dog barked in the neighbor's yard, and I felt how something inside me, something I had been denying for months, finally settled into place. "Are you telling me you think I gave you something?" "I'm just saying you have been very absorbed in work, traveling to Austin every couple of weeks. One never knows, Justin. People make mistakes, and sometimes do not even realize it." There was the play. Megan was always brilliant at turning conversations around. She had that gift of making the victim look guilty and vice versa. She used it with her mom, with her bosses, with the waiters when they brought her cold coffee. But with me that night the strings were showing. "First thing tomorrow I will get mine done," I said, calm, too calm. Her eyes widened a little more than normal. It was not worry, it was fear. "It is not necessary for you to rush, my love. The doctor said it is surely a lab mistake. We wait a few days, and I will sleep more peacefully, knowing." What she did not understand at that moment, what I was not going to explain to her, was simple. I had absolute certainty that the result could not come from me. And not because I was a saint, but because it had been almost 4 months since she and I had touched each other. Not a kiss, not a brushing of hands under the table, nothing. Megan had built an invisible wall around her body since that fight in March. When I asked her why she was getting home so late from her spinning classes, I went up to the bedroom, locked the door, and there, sitting on the edge of the bed, I opened the laptop and logged into the phone company portal where we both shared the family plan. I had never checked that, not once in 7 years of marriage. I filtered the dates for the wedding weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and what appeared on the screen froze me. More than 200 messages, 40-something calls, all to the same number, a number without a name in her contacts. Calls at 1:20 in the morning, at 3, at 4:30, hours when she was supposedly exhausted in her hotel room, dropping from sleepiness. I did not feel rage. That is the part people do not understand when telling these stories later. I did not feel like breaking things. I did not feel my chest tighten. My vision did not blur. I felt something much more dangerous. Clarity. A cold, surgical clarity, like when one finally finds the puzzle piece they had been looking for under the couch for weeks. Megan was lying, and the owner of that number had been with her in Scottsdale. And the next morning she woke up acting. That is the only word, acting. Humming a song by Adele while preparing my favorite avocado toast and eggs, the ones she knew were my favorites, the ones she had not made since Christmas. She served me a fresh cup of coffee with cinnamon. She gave me a kiss on the forehead. Justin, forgive me for last night. I was hysterical. I was not thinking straight. I am sure the test is wrong. I smiled. I thanked her for breakfast. I told her I had to go to the office early, and when she got in the shower, I went into the guest room closet, where she kept her gym bag, the one she used 3 times a week to supposedly go to her spinning class in Studio City. I found what I was looking for in less than 2 minutes. Rolled up inside some black leggings tucked into the bottom of the bag was a cell phone. It was not hers. It was not a work one. It was a cheap prepaid device, one of those you can buy at a 7-Eleven. I turned it on. It had no password. Megan was smart, but overconfident. That combination is always fatal. The name jumped out as soon as I opened the messages. Tyler Bennett. I sat staring at the screen, sitting on the closet floor, with the shower still running in the hallway bathroom. Tyler Bennett, Jessica's husband. Jessica, the one who invited us to her birthday party last year. Jessica, the one who offered me a glass of wine in her Pasadena backyard while Megan and Tyler talked about work on the other end of the patio. The messages made it perfectly clear that they had been involved in an inappropriate relationship. I am not going to repeat them here. I will just say there were references to a hotel in downtown Scottsdale, to time spent together early Saturday morning, and to a message from Sunday afternoon that said, "Did you get the test done yet? I am nervous about what happened after dinner." It was not a lab mix-up. I left everything exactly as I found it. The cell phone rolled in the leggings at the bottom of the bag in its place in the closet. I went downstairs. I said goodbye to Megan with a kiss on the cheek. I drove to the office, and in the parking lot, before entering the building, I took out my personal cell phone and looked for Jessica Bennett's number. I had kept it saved since the birthday. I had never used it. "Hello, Jessica, good afternoon. This is Justin, Megan's husband. Sorry to call you out of the blue like this." Silence on the other end, then with caution. "Hi, Justin. Is everything okay?" "No, and I need to see you. Today if possible. It is not something I can tell you over the phone." Another longer silence, and then a voice that already knew something, even if she did not know what. "Where?" "We met at a coffee shop in Silver Lake, one of those with plants hanging from the ceiling and baristas in linen aprons." She arrived before me. When I approached the table, I saw her with both hands wrapping a cup of tea she clearly had not tasted. She had the eyes of someone who had already cried in the car before getting out. I sat down, did not beat around the bush, took the first folder out of my briefcase, the phone records I had printed that morning, and slid them toward her. "This number that repeats here, do you recognize it?" She looked at the pages. Her lips pressed together until they became a white line. "It is Tyler's private number, the one he uses for work." She looked up, or so he told me. I did not ask if she wanted to see more. I took out the second folder, screenshots from the hidden cell phone. The worst ones, the ones that left no room for any generous interpretation. Her hands trembled as she turned the pages. She did not cry. That was the part that impressed me most about Jessica. She did not cry a single time in that coffee shop. She just read, nodded, and when she finished, she closed the folder carefully, as if it were a sacred book she did not want to damage. "Is there anything else?" "Yes." I took a deep breath. Megan returned from Scottsdale with a positive diagnosis for a sexually transmitted infection. She tried to blame me. I took the test this morning at a lab in Beverly Hills. The results will arrive in my email in 4 hours, but we already know what it is going to say. Jessica closed her eyes, breathed slowly through her nose. When she opened them, there was something different there, something sharp. "Do you have a plan, Justin?" "I am putting one together, but I do not want to do it alone. You deserve to be there just as much as I do." She leaned forward. "Tell me, what do you need?" My test result arrived at 4:20 in the afternoon. Negative on everything. I printed it twice. One copy for me, another for what was coming. That night, I told Megan that some friends had invited us to dinner the next day. An Italian restaurant they had just opened in Beverly Hills with a private room, intimate atmosphere, white tablecloths. She got excited. She asked me if she should wear the red dress I had given her for our anniversary. I said yes. She gave me a long hug, one of those she had not given me for months, and whispered in my ear that she knew we were going to be fine, that we were going to overcome the clinic's mistake. I almost felt pity at that moment. Almost. We arrived at the restaurant at 8:30. The waiter guided us to the private room, a round table for 4 people with candles, with white flowers, with an already opened bottle of red wine. Megan smiled. She looked at everything with that smile of someone who believes they are about to start a new chapter. Who is coming? She asked, checking her reflection in the silver knife. 2 people. You already know them. Before she could ask more, the door to the private room opened. Tyler Bennett walked in first. When he saw me, his face went through 3 different colors in less than 2 seconds. White, red, green, like a broken traffic light. Megan straightened up in her chair so fast, she hit the table with her knee. One of the glasses shook. Justin, Tyler said with that voice men use when they are searching for the exit door with their eyes. What a surprise, I did not know that. And then Jessica walked in. She did not yell. She did not throw anything. She did not raise her voice. She simply walked up to the table with firm steps. She left her purse on an empty chair, and from her purse, she took out a white envelope, the same envelope Megan had brought from Scottsdale. I had given it to Jessica that afternoon. Sit down, both of you, Jessica said. No one moved. Sit down. Tyler obeyed. Megan was paralyzed with the wine glass halfway to her mouth, like a wax statue melting in real time. Jessica opened the envelope with a chilling calmness, unfolded the paper, and then, with a clear, steady voice, without a single stumble, she began to read. She read the clinic's letterhead. She read the full name of Megan Harper. She read the date. She read the name of the doctor who had signed. She read line by line each of the results. Positive, positive, positive. She read the clinical observations. She read the treatment recommendations. She read the footnote that said the patient must inform all their recent partners. When she finished, she left the sheet in the center of the table next to the wine bottle. Megan was trembling. The glass fell from her hand, and the red wine spread over the white tablecloth like a red stain. Justin, my love, this is a lab mistake. I swear it. I took my own envelope out of my jacket pocket. The negative result that had arrived that afternoon. I placed it next to hers. Negative, I said. I came back negative on everything. Megan, do you want to explain to us where yours comes from? Jessica took out the second folder. The screenshots from the hidden cell phone she placed on the table one by one, like someone dealing cards in a game they have already won. Tyler lowered his head, did not say a word, did not even try to defend himself. Megan looked at me with eyes full of real tears. This time she was not acting anymore. Justin, please, can we talk about this at home? No. Here. Now. I got up from the chair. I left $200 on the table to cover the wine and the waiter's trouble. We have talked enough. The drive back home was the longest silence of my life. Megan cried without making a sound in the passenger seat, with her hands intertwined on her lap, like a punished child. I drove looking straight ahead, thinking about the suitcases I had to pack, about the lawyer I had contacted 3 days before, about the small apartment I had already rented in Los Feliz just in case, because that is the part nobody knew yet. I had been preparing for this night for almost 2 weeks. From the moment I checked the phone records, I knew there was going to be no reconciliation, no couples therapy, no second wind. There was only going to be a clean exit. When we arrived, she grabbed my arm at the kitchen entrance. Justin, I promise you it was just one night. Tyler had been drinking a lot. I was vulnerable, missing you. You had grown so distant from me, my love. Megan, the messages start in February. She went mute. February. I repeated, 8 months before the wedding in Scottsdale. She let go of my arm, sat on a dining room chair, covered her face with her hands, and for the first time that whole night, I think she understood that there was no version of this story where she came out winning. I went up to the bedroom, took the large suitcase out of the closet, began throwing clothes in without folding, without thinking, just grabbing the essentials. She came up behind me. A few minutes later, she stood in the doorframe. Are you leaving tonight? I am leaving tonight. Where to? That is none of your business. She then started crying harder. She asked for therapy. She asked for a second chance. She asked me to think about the years we had built together, about the house, about the plans we had to have a baby next year. Every sentence contradicted the previous one. Every argument was more desperate than the previous one. And in every word that came out of her mouth, I heard the same thing. She was not sorry for what she had done. She was sorry she had been caught. I already spoke with a lawyer. I told her, closing the suitcase. Tomorrow we sign the property settlement. On Monday we file the divorce papers. Divorce? Justin. No. Megan, you ended this in February. I am just giving it the right name. I signed everything the next morning, without trembling, without regrets, without looking back. The separate accounts, the savings she never bothered to ask if they existed. The condo that was still in my name since before we got married, the one my parents had transferred to me. Everything was bulletproof. Megan always assumed I did not think about those things. She never imagined that I had been planning my own safety net for years, quietly, just in case. The cell phone vibrated all afternoon. 16 missed calls. Messages that went from begging to insulting to begging again, like a wheel spinning out of control. I did not answer any of them. By the end of the week, Megan's friends started to distance themselves. The news spread through that circle of women from the Valley and Beverly Hills like wildfire. Some defended her at first. Others, like her friend Melissa, called me in private to tell me they always suspected something was off about those trips she supposedly took to visit her aunt in Scottsdale. Jessica filed her own papers 3 days after the dinner in Beverly Hills. She sent me a short message. He did not fight anything. He left the house with a backpack and the car keys. Thank you for giving me the truth, Justin. You owe me nothing, but I owe you a lot. Months later, I walked out of the courthouse with the divorce decree in a brown folder. There was no celebration, there was no resentment, just a strange, clean sensation, like breathing fresh air after months locked inside a room without windows. The judge looked at both of us before signing. Megan did not lift her face. She looked smaller than I had ever seen her. More fragile, more human perhaps. Now that she no longer had any mask to defend, when we stepped out into the hallway, she tried to tell me something like, forgive me, or take care, or thanks for everything. I could not hear her well because I was already walking toward the exit. That night in my Los Feliz apartment, small with borrowed furniture and a half-dead plant by the window, I poured myself a glass of whiskey and thought about the white envelope, about how Megan had walked through the door of the house that Sunday night. Thinking that a piece of paper was going to be her shield, thinking she could turn me into the guilty one before I asked the right questions. People can hide a lot of things. They can hide messages. They can hide cheap cell phones at the bottom of gym bags. They can hide entire weekends behind stories about sick aunts in Scottsdale. But they cannot hide the patterns. They cannot hide the schedules. And they definitely cannot hide the truth when someone else, someone who also deserves to know, is willing to read it out loud in front of everyone. This story did not end with revenge. It ended with clarity, and clarity, I discovered that night, is the cleanest form of freedom. Comment: this story really stayed with me. I believe self-respect should never be negotiable in any relationship. When trust is broken, facing the truth is often the kindest thing you can do for yourself. Setting firm boundaries is an act of self-love, and taking responsibility for your own happiness shows true strength. Healing begins the moment we stop accepting what hurts us. You deserve relationships that bring you peace, not constant doubt. Choosing clarity over comfort can be incredibly freeing. I hope this reminds you to always value your own worth and never be afraid to choose the path that protects your inner peace. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.